Ladies and gentlemen, we are coming to you live from Center Street Studios in beautiful Bellevue, Kentucky. This is the Cheap Beer Fantasy Football League prior week recap, future week forecast, evening talk show. As always, I am your host, the Commish. Now, we have a very special episode planned for you today. It is action-packed. No need for me to ramble at the top other than to give respect and a shout out to our live studio audience. What do you say, live studio audience? Center Street Studios is popping just the way I like it. Let's not ramble too long at the front. Let's get right into the meat and potatoes. This is the prior week recap, future week forecast, evening talk show. We're going to start by recapping the prior week. What was this? Week 7. Week 7. Let's take a look at week 7. Look at the matchups. Look at the scoreboard, see how things panned out. As always, I'm going to start with our biggest blowout, and boy, was it a blowout. Dilly Doughnuts. He put up 150.04 points, defeating Braden Bebop, a measly 87.44 points. Dumbass. Braden was led by Justin Jefferson, 17.9 points. Doughnuts, led by Joe Mixon. We've heard that name a few times. The man's absolutely killing it down in Houston. And it cuts me to my soul being a Bengals fan. I miss him with all my heart. Mixon put up 28.4 points. Congrats, Dilly Doughnuts. A win of 62.6 points. Moving on. BODEMEISTER, the Bo Diesel, the Bode Man, the Pizza Man. He put up 115.66 points, destroying Corey. Corey put up 92.9 points. That's a margin of victory of 22.76. Bode Man, led by Jalen Hurts. Fantastic outing out of Jalen Hurts. 22.76 points. Corey, led by Saquon Barkley, scored more than Bodie's week guy, but not enough to beat him. Saquon Barkley, 28.7 points. Nice week, not enough. Moving on. Nate Dogg. Are you okay? Is everyone okay? I heard a sneeze. We don't want to pass around any deadly viruses, if you know what I'm saying. Moving on. Nate Dogg, 120.48 points, destroying Neil. Neil, 99.12 points. That's a margin of victory of 21.36 points. Nate Dogg, led by Bijan Robinson, running back, Atlanta Falcons, 24.8 points for Bijan. Sounds like mustard. Neil, led by Josh Allen. That'll never be a sentence I say again. More on that later. Josh Allen, he put up 24.02 points for Neil. Not a bad showing. I'd like him on my team. Moving on. Z-Pat put up 132.6. Nice showing out of you, Z-Pat. 132.6. It was enough to beat Jordy. Jordy is on a downward spiral, not just in life, but in this league. 116.68 points for Jordy. That's a margin of victory of 15.92 points. Z-Pat, led by Baker Mayfield. He looks just like him. He's putting up points. 30 points for Baker. Jordy, led by Jahmyr Gibbs, 33 points. More than Zach's lead guy, but not enough to beat him. Moving on. This game sucked donkey nuts. I, myself, Tanner Commish, 85.84 points. Dumbass. But not a total dumbass. That belongs to Meat. Meat put up 81.54 points. As I've been known to do since my teenage years, I beat Meat. I beat him by a margin of 4.3 points. I was led by my defense. Whose defense, you may ask? Cincinnati Bengals. They turned it on. About time they showed up. Week 7, they showed up for me, put up 15 points. Meat, led by Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson put up 34.44 points. Fun fact, that was 42.2% of Meat's entire score. One guy, 42.2% of Meat's entire score. The rest of his 8 guys must have sucked ass. That's why he only put up 81.54 points. I beat Meat. Moving on. Week 7. Our Week 7 Bingo Bango Top Dog Award. That goes to Mr. Undefeated himself, Dilly Doughnuts. Dilly Doughnuts, he hit our Insta over 150 top dog status with a score of 150.04. He was towing the line, but he found himself on the right side of it. Congrats to you, Dilly Dog. for being our Week 7 Bingo Bango Top Dog of the Week. Our Week 7 Certified Bonafide Dumbass. That belongs to Meat. Meat, you've had a lot of these. And once again, you are the Certified Bonafide Dumbass. Congrats to you, Meat. There were a couple other dumbasses. It wasn't just Meat. What's he doing over there? He went up on the couch? New dog once on set? Oh, his ball's under the couch. Wouldn't you know it? His ball is always under the couch. Where was I? Oh, yeah, we had a couple other dumbasses besides Meat. Now, Meat, you did have the least points. You were the Certified Bonafide Dumbass, but a couple Insta under 90 dumbasses that belonged to Braden with a score of 87.44. That belonged to me with a score of 85.84. I'm a dumbass, but I beat Meat. Moving on. We have a new segment to the program. This is going to be called League News, brought to us by Kroger branded peanuts. Those are some salty nuts. All right. Thank you to our friends at Kroger. League News. I'm just going to chew on y'all for a second. Listen to me chew. Those are some good nuts. Delicious. League News. What I'm going to do here, every now and then I put out a league manager poll. This is the part of the show where I'll discuss that poll. And, I might highlight a few interesting transactions, a few trades, which we have a couple to speak of this week. And let's start with the poll. This past week, on last week's episode, I went on a whole tangent about how whenever a poll has the option for undecided, it just makes me laugh. I don't know why. I think that undecided is the worst answer possible for a poll. And I'll tell you exactly why right here. The question on the poll was, do you think undecided is a completely useless answer to a poll question? I had 3 possible answers. Yes, no, undecided. We had 4 total votes. Terrible voter turnout. But the 4 total votes, we had 1 vote for yes, we had 1 vote for no, and we had 2 votes. The winner of our poll was undecided. Now, here's the thing. Undecided is completely useless. We can throw those votes away right in the trash. That means that our vote came down to 1 yes and 1 no. Undecided. It's a poll about being undecided, and the result was technically undecided. You can't make it up. I don't know why that makes me laugh so much, but I think that that's very funny. Let's move on to the trades. Now, this has been a heated topic in the group chat recently. Let's look at our first trade. This trade didn't take as much flack as our second trade. Our first trade was between BODEMEISTER and Neil. Now, Neil posted in the group chat he needed to make some changes. He said that a lot of his team was up for sale. He just had to bring him a good offer. Bodeman brings him an offer. Bode is going to receive from Neil Aaron Jones, and Neil will be receiving from the Bodeman Amari Cooper and Nick Chubb. I think that's a pretty fair trade. It received 3 votes for yes, 1 vote for veto. Obviously, I looked right past that, not nearly enough votes. And from now on, Bodeman will have Aaron Jones, and Neil will have Amari Cooper and Nick Chubb. Amari Cooper, new team, great quarterback. Nick Chubb, back from that horrific leg injury. He could be great. I think that this is a very fair trade. Moving on. This trade got all kinds of flack. And you guys were busting my balls saying I fleeced Neil. I'm taking advantage of Neil. As if. I was called P. Diddy, for God's sakes. The Diddler. The Diddler receives Josh Allen and C.D. Lamb. 2 big-name players. Neil receives Jaden Daniels and Garrett Wilson. What we have here is a great quarterback and a great receiver traded for a great quarterback and a great receiver. Now, people are going to say that Jaden Daniels is hurt. He's not hurt. He bruised his ribs. His mom said it was fine. Who should we believe if not his own mother? Garrett Wilson. He's been killing it. Targets left and right. Oh, they got Devontae Adams. Who gives a shit? Garrett Wilson is still a fantastic wide receiver. I will die on that hill. I am taking on Josh Allen. I wanted him. Neil had him. He said everyone's for sale. I wanted him. I went after him. I got him. And C.D. Lamb. C.D. Lamb's a big name. He's not been playing great. I mean, of course, you hear the name C.D. Lamb, you think, damn, Tanner got C.D. Lamb? Yeah, I got C.D. Lamb. He's been all right at best. But I think he might turn it around. That's why I went after him. So that trade received 2 yeses, 2 nos, not nearly enough nos to veto. So I pushed it through. Is that so bad? Tell me, is that so bad?
That's not so bad.
That's not so bad. I didn't think so. I'm a fair man. I have integrity. I have integrity. Moving on. The power rankings, standings, and playoff picture heading into week 8. Power rankings. Number 1 atop the power ranking board, Dilly Doughnuts. Number 2, myself. Number 3, Braden. Number 4, BODEMEISTER. Number 5, Z-Pat. Number 6, Corey. Number 7, Jordy. Number 8, Neely. Number 9, Nate Dogg. And number 10, pulling up the rear. This is a 10-man league, I'll remind you. Meat. Damn, you kind of suck. I can't believe you won it one year, but this year you suck ass. Moving on. Let's take a look at our playoff picture. If the playoffs were to start tomorrow, which I'll remind you they don't, a lot of season left, but if they were to start tomorrow, our 1 seed would be Dilly Doughnuts. He hasn't lost the game. Why wouldn't he be 1 seed? He would get himself a bye. Our 2 seed, that would be myself. I would also get a bye. Me and Dilly would be the bye guys. Our 4-5 matchup, that would be Z-Pat with the 4 seed versus Corey with the 5 seed. I love that matchup, and I'm looking forward to it. I hope it happens. And our 3-6 matchup, the 3-6 Mafia, that would be 3 seed Bebop, 6 seed BODEMEISTER. Bebop versus BODEMEISTER. I like that too. Now, I think that this is a pretty good playoff projection. There's a lot of time left for all of you bottom dwellers, a lot of time for you to make up slack, but we are nearing the finish line. Keep it in mind, we're going into week 8. It's a 14-week season. So we're halfway done officially. Moving on. Let's move on to the standings. As always, this segment of the show is brought to us by our good friends over at Keystone Light. It's usually at this point in time where I like to invite my guest for a quick little sneak peek at the guest. Guest, would you like to crack a Keystone with me?
Absolutely. That's a good beer.
Thank you, guest. Thank you, Keystone. That is a damn good beer. Where was I? The standings. We're going to start with Keystone. Number 1 in the Keystone division, that belongs to Dilly Doughnuts. Dilly Doughnuts, 7-0. He can't be beaten, or can he? Well, as of yet, he cannot be beaten. Dilly sitting at 7-0 with a playoff percentage chance of 99%. You can't get much better than that. Bebop, he's in the chat. He says, Bode. We like to see you, Bebop. We hope to see you live in person one day soon. Have your people call my people. Moving on. Number 2 in the Keystone division currently, that belongs to Z-Pat. Record of 3-4. Get used to hearing that. Z-Pat currently has a playoff percentage chance of 58%. Not bad. Not good. Not bad. Moving on. Bo Diesel. Bo Diesel is currently 3rd in Keystone. Also 3-4. Playoff percentage of 61%. Technically behind Zach. Better chance of making the playoffs. Explain that to me, Bezos. Moving on. 4th in Keystone division, that belongs to Nate. Nate is also 3-4, yet somehow a measly 41% chance to make the playoffs. ESPN app has no love for the Nate Dogg. Moving on. I mean, I hate to pick on the guy over and over and over again, but Meat in last place in the Keystone division with a measly, horrific, inexcusable record of 2-5, a measly, teeny 15% chance of making the playoffs. You're not dead yet, Meat, but you're knocking on death's door. Moving on. In the Natty division, atop the Natty division, that would be myself. You know, they say it's lonely at the top. I'm here to tell you it is. I have a record of 5-2. I have a 94% chance to make the playoffs. I like those odds. And you know what? I'm saying it. I'll see you fuckers in the playoffs. Moving on. Number 2 in the Natty division. That would be Braden. Braden sitting at a record of 4-3, 78% chance to make the playoffs. I like those chances for you, Braden. Good luck to you moving forward. You got to be close to getting McCaffrey back, you would think. Too bad Achilles. Unbelievable. Moving on. Corey's currently in 3rd place in the Natty division. Record of 3-4, a game under 500. Corey with a 53% chance to make the playoffs. Damn near a coin flip. Jordy's in 4th place in the Natty division. Also 3-4 record. Also 53% chance to make the playoffs. You know, just occurred to me. Corey, 3-4. Jordy, 3-4. Corey, soon to be father of a baby girl. Jordy, soon to be father of a baby girl. Maybe you guys aren't so different after all. Moving on. Neely. Neely is at the bottom of the Natty division with a record of 2-5, 46% chance to make the playoffs. You know, that trade that Neil made, it's going to have to work in his favor in order for him to get hot and hopefully sneak into the playoffs. Good luck to you, Neil. I'll be pulling for it. I'll be pulling for you. Moving on. Let's recap the current league as far as points scored, win streaks, and losing streaks. The most points scored in the league thus far, that belongs to me. After 7 weeks, I put up 864.8 points. That's a weekly average of 123.54 points. I am just beating ass in this league this year. And I told you I would do it. I called my shot. Last place last year, first place this year. I ain't living in the past, now I'm out. Least points scored. God. Do I just have to keep piling on? As if it just couldn't get any worse. Meat is our least points scored through 7 weeks. He scored a measly 677.3 points. That's a weekly average of 96.76 points. Not even cracking 100 points a week. Meat, you're going to have to get those numbers up, my friend. Let's look at defense, because everyone knows defense wins championships. Most points allowed. That is Jordy, Mr. GM himself. He has given up 828.48 points, a weekly average of 118.35 points per week. We can see who everyone in this league is trying to beat week in and week out. Jordy, you got a big target on your back, and honestly, you've earned it. Moving on. Least points allowed. Maybe this is why he's undefeated. He's playing fantastic defense. They say defense wins championships. It also wins games. Dilly Doughnuts, least points allowed. He's given up a measly, tiny, minuscule 67.32 points this year. That's absolutely unbelievable. That's less points than Meat has scored. So you take the guy who scored the least, Dill's given up less than him. Unbelievable defense. He's giving up only 95.76 points per week. That's 1 whole point below what Meat is scoring per week. Great defense on you, Dilly. Let's see if that remains true after this week when you're playing, you guessed it, me. Let's look at the longest active win streak. Take a guess. Dilly Doughnuts. He's 7-0 for God's sakes. He's never lost. 7-game win streak. Congrats to you, Dilly. Our longest active losing streak. Now this just tickles me to the core. Jordy. He's lost 4 games. Let me remind you, Jordy is 3-4. Started out 3-0. Now he's 3-4. Bet you didn't see the season panning out that way, did you, Jordy? Eat shit. Moving on. We've been living in the past. Let's look forward to the future. Week 8 preview, because this is the prior week recap, future week forecast evening talk show. Let's go ahead and forecast the future week. Week 8 preview. As always, I'm going to start with the closest matchups, the predicted nail biters. We got a couple nail biters this week, but the closest matchup, that would be 5-2 myself going up against 7-0 Dilly Doughnuts. I'm projected a walloping 130.8 points. Dill Dog, a respectable 130.10 points. That's a projected margin of victory in my favor of a measly, minuscule, almost invisible 0.7 points. That game is going to be close. Oh, yeah. Moving on. We have 3-4 Bode facing off against 4-3 Bob. Bode projected 117.5. Bob projected 113. Margin of victory in the Bodeman's favor of 4.5 points. That is less than a touchdown. A touchdown could decide this one. I'll be watching closely. Moving on. 3-4 Jordy facing off against 2-5 Meat. Can Jordy beat Meat? Jordy 113.8. Projected margin of victory of 4.8 points over Meat's 109. Meat 109, not bad for you, but not enough right now to beat Jordy. At least has all that projections have it panning out. Let's see if Meat can just score some fucking points, Meat. For God's sakes, it's the name of the game. Moving on. 3-4 Nate taking on 3-4 Corey. Matchups of 3-4. Someone's going to get to 500. Who will it be? ESPN projects it will be Nate. Nate projected 117.2. Corey projected 111.4. That's a margin of victory of 5.8 points in Nate's favor. Best of luck to both you boys. Somebody gets back to 500. That could be big for the playoffs. Just saying. 3-4 Z-Pat taking on 2-5 Nail. Z-Pat projected 118.5. This is our biggest projected ass kicking. Neil projected a measly, flirting with dumbass, 94 points. Oh my God, Neil. Why did you make that trade? That's a margin of victory of 24.5 points projected for the BODEMEISTER himself. Commissioner's game of the week, I'm going to go ahead and declare that to be myself versus Dill Dog Kells. Now, I'm not playing favorites. I don't always pick my own game. But this game, it's a battle of the Titans. We got first place at the Keystone versus first place at the Natty. Projected margin of victory of a measly 0.7. I got to pick it for Commissioner's Game of the Week. So that is going to be this week's Commissioner's Game of the Week. Moving on. Speaking of Week 8, tonight is Thursday night. We got Thursday night football. We got the Minnesota Vikings traveling to Los Angeles to take on the Rams. As always, if you're listening to this right now, I'm telling you, I'm not just saying this. You are invited to next week's show. We sit around, we drink beers, we eat pizza. I've always got pizza. I've always got beers. And we watch the football game. It's a lot of fun. If you haven't done it, try it out. Friendly reminder, already did that. Let's go ahead and get to my favorite segment of every single show. Last week, I didn't have a guest. This week, I have a guest. Not only do I have a guest, I have an extremely respectful guest. Now, this man defended my honor in the group chat, told me to trade, fair trade. I couldn't help but agree with him. I'm going to bring on tonight's guest. He is two-time Lombardi champion. He is one-time father. And he is longtime manager of an Italian restaurant. None other than my friend and yours. Please help me introduce BODEMEISTER. BODEMEISTER. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Tanner?
It's great to see you, my friend. Great to see you. Hey, let's start this thing off with a little sip of Keystone.
Little sip of Keystone?
Yeah, a little sip. Now that's a good beer.
That's a good beer.
That's a damn good beer. All right. We have a quick question from Nate. Did you happen to bring those draft day surveys?
I did not.
That's unbelievable. We still don't have the draft day surveys. Bodie, you've seen the program a time or two, right?
Yes.
I like to ask my guests a couple of questions. Can I ask you a couple questions?
Absolutely.
First, my first question. Why don't you just look in the camera and give us your honest thoughts on these recent trades that happened in the league? You were a part of one.
I was part of one.
I thought it was very fair.
Everybody said mine was fair. Yours was unfair.
Now, where do you stand on that side of the argument?
I think if people really cared, they should have gone out and voted. November 5th, hit the polls.
Hit the polls. I will be voting for Biden. I don't care how fucking old you are. Get in there and finish the fucking job. Can I ask you another question?
Yes.
If Vinny, your son,
Yes.
I said you're two-time champion, one-time father.
Yes.
Let's say your son grows up to become an NFL quarterback.
Yes.
Let's say he can really sling the pigskin.
Yeah.
But let's say he's a mid-tier quarterback. Let's
Okay.
say he's projected between, let's say 14 and 18th best in the league.
Okay.
14 and 18th best in the world.
Okay.
Would you draft him? And if so, what round?
Yeah, I would draft him.
What round?
I would think that was probably an 8th rounder.
You take your own son in the 8th round.
Yeah. If he wanted me to draft Meyer, he would probably play better.
That's fair. Now, if he's slumping, would you start him? Would you continue to start him?
Yes.
So he wouldn't be your backup quarterback. He'd be your starting
He'd be my
quarterback.
starter.
I love that. Good luck to you, Vinny. Hope you grow up to become a quarterback or at least a kicker.
At least.
At least a kicker. Can I ask you a couple more questions?
Yes.
You've seen the show. I like to have my guests grade their draft.
Mm-hmm.
Are you okay if I ask you about your draft picks?
Let's go.
All right. In round 1, you had pick 10, last pick of the draft. You took A.J. Brown, wide receiver, Philadelphia Eagles. He's currently sitting at wide receiver 31. Now, he's had some injury troubles. You had to know he's injury prone when you picked him.
Correct.
How do you grade that draft pick?
B-.
B-. Why a B-?
I think he's done very well while he's in, but the best ability is availability, so he hasn't lived up to that part.
Dave
when he's
Blackham
in,
always says that.
great man.
He is a great man. Let's take a look at round 2. Now, you did have back-to-back picks.
Yes.
You had pick number 11. You took Travis Etienne Jr. Should have took senior, I'd argue. He's a running back for the Jacksonville Jaguars. They suck ass. He's kind of sucked ass himself. Currently running back 39. You took him 11th overall. How do you grade that pick?
That's a solid F.
That is an F. Let's move on from that one on.
Yeah.
Round 3, pick 30. You took Amari Cooper. You recently traded him.
Yes.
Now, you must have thought he was good, but not good enough to hold on to. He's currently wide receiver for the Buffalo Bills. Recently traded in real life. Recently traded in our league. He's been traded twice.
Yeah.
He's currently wide receiver 32. Now, tell me this. How do you grade the pick?
I think that's a C-.
Really? You're going to say that in front of Neil.
Well, it's not all his fault. He did have Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, whatever happened to that guy?
I think he's getting massaged right now.
Poor masseuse. Let's take a look at round 4. Again, you had back-to-back picks. You had pick 31 overall in the draft. You took Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, he's the quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, it's a 10-man league. You only start one quarterback. He's currently quarterback 10. Not great. How do you grade that pick? A little early to take a quarterback. Were you wanting to pair him with A.J. Brown?
Yes.
All right.
That was the thought process behind that. That's probably a B-.
You give it a B-.
Yes.
He's quarterback 10.
He's quarterback 10.
They had a bye.
B-. They have had their bye.
What would
So
you
look at
give
his
it?
average per game?
We can confirm he's had his bye.
Yeah, he has. I've had him in 3 weeks.
All right.
What would you give the pick then?
C.
C?
C.
We're not that far off.
I'd give it a C. Nope. I'd go right past B-, right past C+, give it a solid C. Let's move on to round 5. You had pick 40 in the draft. You took DeAndre Swift.
Yes.
He's the running back for the Chicago Bears.
Correct.
He's currently sitting at running back 20. How do you grade that pick?
A.
Really?
Yes.
If you get top 20 back in the 5th round, you like that?
Yes. Especially with
I do too.
its recency bias. The past 4 games, he is averaging about 20 points a game. Or I guess the last 3 games, he was on bye last week. He was the bye guy.
He was on bye last week.
So,
We can confirm that he was on bye last week?
yes.
Drop the nut. Can I have your time to ask you a couple more questions?
Yes.
You're a Bengals fan,
Yes.
so I've heard. Do you think the Bengals have figured some things out on a 2-game win streak, or do you think they just played 2 of the worst teams in football?
I think they played 2 of the worst teams in football. Big problems on defense. And we really need to get the offense back to where it was.
Oh, we have a question from the audience. So before we get to this audience question, which I do want to, so please, Braden, send that in the chat. If anyone else has a question for BODEMEISTER, now be the time to send it in the chat. But I want to touch on those Bengals again real quick. It seems as though the offense has a good game, the defense blows nuts.
Correct.
The defense has a good name. The offense sucks donkey balls.
Yes.
Why is that?
I think it just boils down to coaching.
Now, let me tell you this. The offense has a great game. Defense plays okay. Kicker shanks a kick because the snapper couldn't fucking put it on the ground.
Correct.
We just can't get all 3 things working at once.
Yep. It's all about the head coach.
What would you do differently?
I would fire Zach Taylor.
Would you really?
Yes.
Really? Who would you hire?
Robert Saleh.
Really? Robert Saleh. The guy that just got fired?
The guy that just got fired.
Can dogs eat peanuts? Allison, can dogs eat peanuts? I think they can. They can eat peanut butter. I'm sure he's fine. Question from the chat. What's 9 plus 10?
20.
21.
It's not 20. Unbelievable question from the chat. But I have a couple more questions for you. Can I ask them?
Yes.
Will you make the playoffs this year?
Wow.
Yes.
What makes you say that? Currently, you're sitting at the 6th seed.
Yes.
That's the last seed. You're sneaking in.
Mm-hmm.
What makes you think that you can maintain that positioning or maybe even improve on it?
I got a couple things here, Tanner.
Yeah.
So the first thing we got to do is get together on offense. Aaron Jones has got to fit into this team real well.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to get a little more healthy with Pacheco coming back from a broken leg. And then with Brian Thomas starting to figure things out, he's a real explosive receiver. He's awesome.
Who's your quarterback?
Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts. That's right. I took him around 4. Who's your kicker?
Justin Tucker.
Ooh, he's kind of not been that good this year.
He started off rough. He's been fine ever since, but mediocre at best.
So you think you have what it takes to stay in the playoff hunt?
Yes.
Stay in the playoffs.
Yes. I have enough big
Stay in the
players.
playoffs.
Yeah. I have enough big players.
Stay in the playoffs.
Playoffs.
Yeah.
Playoffs.
That's what I was waiting for. We need to make sure our audience is awake. But yeah, I only have one last question for you. You care if I ask it?
Not at all.
I want you to look me dead in the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Be honest. Who wins the Lombardi this year?
Who wins?
Dead in the eyes.
I think it's you.
Bode, it's been a pleasure having you on, my friend.
Well, Tanner, if you
No, you said what you needed to say.
I want to do something as co-commish real quick. If you don't mind. If you don't mind.
Yes.
Tanner, you go.
Commish.
Co-commish. I have all the rights. So if you piss me off, you're done.
Set to the co-commish.
So, Tanner, you've always been asking the questions during these interviews, correct?
Yes.
So I want to present a new segment on top of the new segment where I interview the commish.
Oh,
We're
my
going to dish with
God.
the commish. We're going to dish with the commish. And this is presented by Montezuma Tequila.
Oh, my God.
Montezuma Tequila.
Great tequila.
Great tequila. Great going down. And it's also used as paint thinner.
Oh, my God.
So what we're going to do is we got our shot, just like we do your Keystone beers.
Oh, my God.
Keystone may not be all of our first words, but we drink it because we love you. Well, first thing you do is don't sniff it.
Oh, my God.
You ready? Cheers. Love you, buddy.
Love you too, bud. I did not expect this. Always surprises in Center Street Studios. That went down smooth.
I know.
God, that's a good shot.
Well, Tanner, I do have a few questions for you.
Yeah.
So, with this new segment, commish interviewing the commish, co-commish interviewing the commish,
Yes.
we're just dishing with the commish.
I don't like this.
You don't like? I don't really have too many tough questions here for you.
All right. Lay 'em on me.
But you, like you mentioned earlier, you were in the center of controversy. People were slandering your name.
Yes.
They were calling you a scumbag, sleazeball, dirtbag.
Yeah.
I want to give you a chance.
I was called P. Diddy.
You were called P. Diddy.
Yes.
Can you? What do you want to say to everybody out there to defend yourself?
I have never and will never party with Diddy. First and foremost, even if he invited me, I'm a fair man. I am a good commissioner. This is the best damn fantasy football league in America. And I'm not taking all the credit, but I think I deserve a bit. I think we can agree on that. And Neil said his team was for sale. I made him a good offer. At the end of the day, Neil hit accept. Is that on me? You tell me. You tell me. Bodie, you tell me.
Hey, I had no problem with the trade. I backed you all the way, but I just can't believe those people were out there calling you like a piece of shit and stuff. So I had to give you time to respond.
I will never party with Diddy, and I mean that.
All right, moving past the controversial questions, I think we were all going to have fun with these next questions you got. So last week you mentioned you were in dumbass territory. On a scale of 1 to 10, how lucky were you last week?
Very, I'll say 9-2.
9-2. I would have gone 9-5 plus. That's unbelievable.
Well, I scored a very low amount of points, but I was going up against meat. So can you really be over a 9-2 just beating meat? I mean, it's not that hard.
All right.
And I rest my case.
All right, 9-2, he gives it.
9-2.
All right, now we're going to grade your draft.
I don't like this.
You don't like it. We'll go through it. I'm looking at it right now. The first 5 rounds, you already have a couple trades in there too.
Yep.
Just like me.
Yep.
So round 1, you took Breece Hall, RB5. You traded it to Dilly Doughnuts. How would you give that trade?
Not on my team. Irrelevant.
Well, that's not an answer. Thanks for nothing, Mr. Undecided. All right, round 2, Cooper Kupp, wide receiver 70.
Been hurt all year. Irrelevant.
All right, this is shaping up to be a great segment. Round 3, Devon Achane, running back 27.
Hurt all year. Quarterback died. Irrelevant.
All right, moving on. DJ Moore, quarterback alive, has been healthy, wide receiver 26. Go.
Quarterback paints his fingernails. Irrelevant.
Well, you're really dodging the questions. You really should run for president.
Voting for Biden. Get in there and finish what you started, you old fuck.
And
I mean that.
I can see where this trend's going. Round 5, you took DK Metcalf, wide receiver 7, traded to Donuts. What are you going to say?
He's no longer on my team. Irrelevant.
All right, so rounds 1 through 5 were irrelevant for Tanner, but he's doing something right. He's leading points. And
Damn Skippy. It's not as easy as it looks, is it?
it is not. So, Tanner, I would say this is so far probably one of your most successful seasons. Let's recap real quick where you ended up the last 5 years. We'll only do 5. I don't want to take all the time to do however many years this league's been going.
We're going to go for 5 fucking seasons.
Oh, a long time. 2019, regular season, I'll add, you finished first with a 10-3 record. You were one of the bye guys, and you lost in the championship. What was that like, getting so close you could taste it? You could taste it almost like these salted nuts.
It hurt. It was a terrible way to start this league. Now, I had such a good season that I felt as though I could carry that into future seasons. That proved not to be the case necessarily. I compare it to the Bengals getting to the Super Bowl and losing. When you get to the ship, you got to win the ship because you never know if you'll make it back. Not to mention I lost to Jordan, who I just fucking hate that guy. So it was bad. It was bad.
Nice. So funny you mentioned Jordan. We move forward. 2020, COVID happens. Everybody's decimated. You finished 9th out of 10 people. The only person that you lost to or had a worse record was Jordan. You were 3-10. Jordy was 2-11. So you finished 9th. 2021, you had a decent regular season, finished 3rd. You were one of the bye guys since you were leading your division. And then you lost your first game in the playoffs in round 2. You were close, but not quite. Were you as upset in 2019 as you were in 2021, or was it not as bad since you didn't even get to the ship?
It hurt worse to losing the ship. Being by 2 out of the first 3 years of this league, it was a crazy time in my life, and I'm hoping to get back to being by. I think I have a good chance of being by this year when the playoffs come around. But I'll tell you, having a good season and losing before the championship sucks, but I think that getting to the ship and losing sucks even more.
Yeah, I would agree. Getting to the ship and losing in the ship, being that close, second place sucks ass.
Yeah.
So then we'll just.
Can I make also a quick comment about 2020?
Yeah.
I lived with you during COVID and I gained about 40 pounds.
I don't know why.
It was incredible. There was a global pandemic going on. Health was being stressed to the max, and you and I were drinking like fish, grilling out every day, smoked meats, processed meats. We were killing ourselves slowly, but we survived, and that's what matters.
Yeah, we survived. Yeah, 2020, you finished 9th, and then you did have a bounce back year, finishing 3rd. And then we'll just wrap it up with the last 2 years. 2022 came in 9th, record of 5-9, not very good. Then last year was pretty pitiful as well. 2023, you came in last with a 5-9 record. So that sucks pretty hard. That's an average standing of finishing the season of 6.4. So just flirting with the playoffs. Wow. So you're hoping to kind of flip that script this year by upping that average to where you're averaging the playoffs every year you play.
This year I will be back to being by. I guarantee it. I'm going to win the Natty division. You can take it to the bank. And I'll just say this about last year. It was a pitiful performance for me.
What?
Presented by Montezuma.
It was a pitiful performance by me, but in your darkest of days, sometimes you come up with your best ideas, and that is when I came up with this little talk show. I started as one man alone in that room, talking to a camera, and today this thing has grown to where we are getting 8 views an episode. 8 views an episode with a live studio audience. We're buying pizzas left and right. And this show has never been bigger. And I swear to God, we will get it to 9 views. I swear to God.
All right. Real quick before
take it to the bank.
My next question, I'm not used to hosting the show. I see some comments rolling in. So Nate Dogg says, what can Kamish say about allegations of eating a PB&J sandwich with non-Kroger brand crunchy peanut butter?
Never happened.
So you're saying they're false?
Completely false.
Completely false. Once again, you're just denying, just like there are candidates nowadays.
Could have been more false.
And is it true, from Braden, he asked, is it true that you only PB one side of the bread, not both?
Not only do I PB both pieces of bread, I PB both sides of both pieces.
Really?
Four sides of bread get PB.
That's an insane amount of PB.
I use a jar sandwich. Sometimes two.
All right. So, just a couple more questions.
Yes.
Last, more of a statement. You're having a great year. You are already two-time top dog, hoping to make it 3 this week.
Yes,
that
I
is
am.
28.6% of the time. Tanner is top dog. He
Yes,
has
I
not
am.
planned around this year.
No,
He
I'm not.
says, screw your 6.4 average placement at the end of the season. I'm going for the buy. I'm a buy guy, and he's loving it. All right. And I have now my official last question. Last year, in the last week of the season, you were tied with another person.
Yes, I was.
And who did you lose to because they outscored you by so many points the last week?
That would be you.
Thank you. And you came in
10th.
That is last place. That's all I have. Tanner, thank you, sir, for being a great guest on This with the Commish.
Thank you, Bodie. Thank you, Bodie. Now, that was an unplanned segment, folks. That's what you get from live television. I'm taking shots. I'm working tomorrow. But I always come back to my sweetheart. You know her. You love her. Keith Stone. Folks, I think that's the episode. When you count in that unplanned segment, we've gone long. This might be our longest episode, our girthiest episode, arguably. And, Braden has a question in the comment for the co-commish. How many conies could you eat in 24 hours? We've discussed this ad nauseum.
At least 24.
He could be right. We'll never know. Actually, maybe we'll do it on next week's episode of the Cheap Beer Fantasy Football
Next week
League.
is Halloween.
Prior week recap, future week forecast, evening talk show. Before I go, I want to wish a very special birthday. Corey's mom. We talk a lot about Corey on the show. Almost never talk about his mom. So I'm going to take a really quick second to wish her a very happy birthday. I think I speak on behalf of the entire league when I say happy birthday. And also when I say, how do you have so many hot daughters? I just don't get it. Every one of them, smoke show. Corey's not even bad looking. You put a wig on him, I might. That's all we have for today's show. Tune in next week live from Center Street Studios. Better yet, come next week. Go ahead and be in the audience where we will be coming to you live on Thursday night, drinking beers, eating pizza, talking football. And next week, I am proud to pronounce I have an extremely special guest. Next week's guest will be none other